Welcome to Innovative Outreach, the podcast where the sacred meets the cutting edge. I'm your host, Bryce Baldwin, and I'm thrilled to embark on this journey with you into the intersection of Jesus, community, and innovation. In a world that's constantly evolving, it's essential for church leaders to stay ahead of the curve, and that's precisely what we're here to explore. Each episode will dive into conversations that empower church leaders with the tools and insights needed to transform their communities into thriving, impactful spaces. In the 21st century, the landscape of outreach is ever-changing, and it's time for the church to be at the forefront of innovation. Join us as we uncover fresh perspectives, share success stories, and navigate the challenges of reaching the community in a postmodern culture. But we're not just here to talk. We're here to inspire action. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And hey, if you're passionate about making a difference and want to share your experiences with our community, check out the link in the description below to become a guest on the show. If you want to keep the conversation going, join our online Facebook community, link below. Together, let's equip ourselves with the knowledge and inspiration to make our communities a better place to live, one innovative outreach at a time. Welcome to the intersection of church, community, and innovation. Welcome to another episode of Innovative Outreach, and today I'm excited. I have Amy Mitchell, the director of Faith International English classes from Faith Church in Indianapolis, with us today. Welcome, Amy. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and something different and unique, a way to reach out to the people that live around you doing English classes. So tell us, what does that look like?
Well, it looks like people from 20 different countries speaking over a dozen different languages walking into our building on Tuesday evenings. We have 5 levels in our adult classrooms and 4 or 5 in our children's classroom, depending on our numbers. This year, we took in 135 adults in the fall and 92 kids.
Wow.
So it's a remarkable opportunity to show love and build relationship.
Yeah. So when they walk in, do you place them in like a certain level, or is everybody starting the same place? How does that look?
Yeah, we have an oral test that we've developed based on our program goals. And so on our intake night at the end of summer, we bring everyone in. If you're a returning student, we kind of know where to place you. And if you're a new student, you take the oral test and get placed in the best classroom for you.
Yeah, that's cool. Sounds like you have put a lot of thought and effort into this. And how do you find the people? Do they find you, or do you find them?
Largely, they find us. Our program is mostly word of mouth, but one of our local immigration agencies has also developed a map. So any English program in the city can request to be on this map. So you can find this online. Other churches and organizations point people to us. Awesome. We also put out a big yellow sign on the corner. Our church lives on a corner. And so we have a big yellow yard sign to announce registration dates.
Yeah. And do you see currently in Indianapolis, there is a large influx of individuals who are needing a service like this?
There is a huge need. We turn people away weekly. We only do 2 intakes a year. And another program based in our local school system, they have intake monthly. They have around 50 spots that they can fill, and those are filling up in 15 minutes.
That's incredible.
So there's an incredible need out there.
Right. And that's one of the big things when, you talk about the idea of outreach and being innovative. It's kind of like, it's asking the question, what are people in our community asking? What do they need to, what do they need? Where do they need to be met? And a lot of times we can miss that by just not being in tune with what's taking place in our community. So I love how you're meeting that and helping people to answer that question. But how did it get started? How did the whole thing? It sounds like you're up and running now. I know there's been years of time invested into this, but it began at some point. So how did it begin?
Yeah, it began in 2005. So we've been doing this about 18 years. And like with any work God does, like He has been in the background weaving this together.
Yeah.
And a member of our church community had been praying about how to use English to reach out and support people in our neighborhood. And another woman was at the apartments that are across the street, and she heard a language spoken that it was Turkish. And she's like, oh, that person at our church speaks Turkish. I'm going to connect with
Oh,
them.
wow. Yeah.
And so that Turkish speaking family came over and saw this new people group in the city and thought, well, what they don't have is English. And English is something that can support them in every other aspect of their life as they start living in a new country as refugees. So that's how it started. We had a kid, they came as families. There were probably, I think, maybe 40 people total, a dozen families or so. And the kids came and the parents came and they learned English together.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Sounds like it was really built on the concept of just community. And
Yeah.
again, just to me, that's one of the big things, and something I developed is like just being present and listening to what's going on around you to say, okay, this is what God's doing. This is how we step
Mhm.
into what God's already doing, and being present. And that sounds awesome. And then from like what I've seen, like I've looked at your website and it looks like you try to help other people or other churches or groups try to do their own, and you have some videos to go along with that. Can you share that a little bit?
Yes. Yeah, we constantly get questions, and this is a need throughout the city. One of the struggles immigrants have is transportation. So the more local their English class can be, the better it is for them. The less money they spend, the easier it is to get to class. So we love supporting other churches. And another organization through our denomination offered to do some videos about how to start an English ministry with your organization, with your church. So that's a great place to start if you want to start an English ministry. And our contact info is there. You can ask us questions, and we share resources and share all the things we've done wrong. So you don't have to make our mistakes.
That's right.
You can make your own if you really want
right.
to, but at least make different ones than we did.
Yeah, that's great. And so in the description, we will put a link to your website, but we also will put a link to those videos so people can
Awesome. That's
check those
great.
right out if they're watching, or if they want to say, hey, how do I start this? And I think the big thing is like you have to be willing, and like you might not start with 40 people, right, Amy? It's might be something where you might have 2 or 3 people that you meet
Yeah.
or something, right?
You might start with one family.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a family on family, and you just sit there and you have a conversation and get to know one another.
Yeah. And it's just
That's the
this,
beautiful thing about this is the relationships you build.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And just having the skills and the tool sets to bring those to life and whatnot is awesome. Talk to it how as you do this, as I looked on your website, you talked about this idea of not just English, but it looked like it was reaching the whole person.
Yeah.
What does that look like? How does that look into the ministry? How does that take place?
Yeah. It looks like a lot of partnership. One congregation can't do everything, especially if you're trying to do something well. You
Sure.
want to put out a quality product, so to speak.
Right.
So there are other churches in our neighborhood that have a food bank, other churches that support people in building resumes and finding a better job. And so we partner with those organizations, build relationships with those groups. So when a student comes to their teacher and says, hey, these English classes are great, but I'm having trouble making ends meet and feeding my kids, we know who to point them to, people who are doing good work and will love them as individual beings created in God's image with respect and dignity, and to help them flourish.
Yeah, that's great. And that's a huge thing is, Jesus cares about the whole person, and oftentimes the church just focuses on just the spiritual side of things, but oftentimes people need to be met in all these other ways so they have the openness to hear the gospel, but also just to love people as a whole person and not just have one side. So how do the English classes lead way into gospel conversations?
Well, gospel conversations happen best if there's trust and respect. So you might see the same Algerian woman at the grocery store every week, but that doesn't give you a chance to really get to know who she is, and for her to know you, and for you to pour into each other's lives week after week. And with a grocery store relationship,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get to a gospel conversation easily. God can do it, and he
Sure.
does.
Yeah.
And like when that door opens, like walk through it. But
Right.
but to have, kind of that gravitas and that relational authority to speak into someone's life, it takes time.
Yeah.
And especially with people who have been through traumas, if you have a refugee population in your area, they have seen horrors you would not
Yeah.
want your kids to see, to
Yeah.
experience, to walk through yourself. And so it can take time for this person to become settled enough to hear truth. Um, and by walking with them faithfully, by showing that you are a friend no matter what, it holds so much sway in people's lives and hearts.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think to me, what I hear is just the idea like you're using English, but English is a way to build relationships, love people, come alongside them in all sorts of different ways to collaborate. And that's just a great beginning place to help them. Can you think of a story right now of a person or a family whose lives been changed, who's come through these doors that your English classes have impacted their lives and something's different?
Yeah. Oh, well, so as you can imagine, with 18 years of history, we
There's a
have
ton of stories.
tons of
Yeah.
stories. But we also, guard our people's privacy very carefully. So everything will be anonymous here. But one of my favorites is a woman who came through the doors and burst into tears. And everyone's like, wait, what's wrong? Because, well, this is the only place anyone uses my name. Someone had greeted her by name,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
and it broke her. This is the only place someone knows my name. I've got, I love it so we have a kids program. And so these kiddos grow up with us as their parents come to English class. And then once you're 14, you can volunteer in the program and help watch the kids. So I love it when a Fayette kid comes back and they're like, oh, I remember being here. This was one of my favorite places. I'm so glad I can come back and pour into these other little kids. I know what they're going through and no one else does. So it is an amazing opportunity to give them a place to use their experiences that they may not have in their regular school lives. We have a volunteer right now who she grew up here as a Fayette kid, and her sisters helped, and now she is our preschool teacher and doing an amazing job walking preschoolers through using scissors for the first time and figuring out what to do with paint, and being a great mother figure to them in the classroom.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. And same thing. We had a similar thing with our job fairs that we asked people their names and they're like, "Why are you like no one's ever asked me my name?" kind of a thing. And just again, when we think about outreach, it's like sometimes so simple. We make it so complicated sometimes. And the second thing is when we think about the community, I love that what you said about the people who come back. That's why I tell people all the time that when people drive by our church, they're not like, well, I go there for service, which we want them to at some point possibly come in the door. But it's no, I got a job there for us. Like, and same thing with them. They're like, it's like, that's the place that this happens. And it just totally helps them shape and rethink, a lot about how, they get connected into the life of a church or whatever it might be. So how do you think what you're doing is innovative in a sense and maybe not as typical or a little bit different than what we consider church outreach?
Well, English class outreach it's a long game. It's a marathon. It isn't event based. You don't get people in your doors for one thing, show them a great time, and then move on. This is relational. And so you come in and you serve week after week with the same people, and students come in week after week and learn and laugh with the same people, and it creates a community. It creates a sense of home where they may not have one. And so it isn't event based. You're in this for the long haul, to love these people no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
You call them or text them when they haven't shown up for a couple weeks. Hey, is everything okay? We've missed you at class.
Mm.
So it is a way to just keep people coming out of their shell and just
Yeah, no, that's great. It's great.
Yeah.
So kind of parallel to that, like my whole big idea is the idea of a better place. It comes from Jeremiah 29, where he tells them you're going
Uh-huh.
to plant homes and build build
Yeah.
gardens, plan to stay. How do you believe the English classes you're providing make Indianapolis a better place to live?
Yeah. Faith as a church body wants our neighborhood to look different because we're here.
Yeah.
And so at one of our main doors is a big multilingual welcome sign. So anyone
awesome.
driving by can see welcome in their language.
Mm.
And we also, with the partnerships with other churches, we're trying to build a place where it's not just, we're not in this just to build Faith Church. We're in this to build the kingdom.
Right.
And pointing people to where they need to go, no matter what. I mean, it kind of sounds a little corny in like a 1950s movie, but it's how we're supposed to be as Christians. Jesus said that they will know us by our love.
Yeah.
And so if you throw open your doors and allow anyone to walk through, all you need to do is sit back and wait for God to work, because he's going to do something.
Yeah. And I always say too, like, people who walk in your doors, and everybody's on a different point in time, but there's guaranteed people who walk in the door that God's already after. That's why they're walking in your door, like, because that's part of their process that God has them on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, definitely. That's so awesome. Just a couple more questions as we begin to kind of turn the corner here. But how would you encourage church leaders as a whole, if anybody's watching this, to be innovative when it comes to outreach, or just thinking about outreach differently in the time and place we live?
Yeah. Well, like what you said earlier about, just opening your eyes, prayerfully look around. What are needs in your community that maybe aren't being met? Do any of those needs happen to match up with the gifts and abilities that you're stewarding already in your congregation?
Mm.
God has a plan. He's already working. And if he is tugging at your heartstrings to reach out to immigrants in your community, it doesn't have to be English. You can meet that in a lot of different ways. So look at your congregation, be flexible, see how you can incorporate what you're already doing to loop in the nations that God is bringing to your doorstep.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's definitely good word of encouragement. If people are watching this and they, want to get involved in any way, they want to support what you're doing at Faith Church, how do they do that?
You can give financially through faithchurchindy.com/give. We have a new scholarship fund, so you can give money and scholarship a student. And like, you can pray for us. I love people praying for wisdom. If you're local and want to visit our program some Tuesday to see what it's like, to see what it could be for your church, we welcome visitors. Come and see what it really looks like to do this.
Yeah, that's great. Well, so what is, like, you mentioned a scholarship, but what's the cost for a student to go through the program?
Yeah, we have a yearly registration fee that basically pays for your books. So currently it's at $40, which gets you your books and notebook and copies for the whole year. And this is important because you don't want to feed into like a learned helplessness loop. So you want people saying, hey, I've got skin in the game here. I bring something to this and can contribute. And learning English is hard. And this is Indiana. So the nights get long and cold, and you don't want to come out after a long day of work.
I hear
you. And so having that warm, welcoming atmosphere and a reason to come out on a Tuesday night is important.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, yeah, that's a great way. If you're watching as a family or as an individual, great way to get involved by sponsoring or like Amy mentioned, stopping by if you're in that area. And sometimes I think even just stopping by to observe maybe sparks something totally different than what you walked in there for. Or hey, you're doing this. Maybe we can actually
Yeah.
collaborate and end up doing that. So I think that's the big part of a lot of that is just begin to walk forward towards those things. Like you mentioned, God will kind of continue to open your eyes or open their
Yeah.
heart to
Yeah.
different things. As we close, did I miss anything? Any question I should have asked that you said, I just need to
Oh, what
say
you
this?
should have asked.
I
Oh,
just got to tell people this.
yeah. Well, so when you partner with people and walk with them for a long time and build relationship with them, like you start to get people to come who come back, and they come back to see you and visit the program and say, hey, I never took any other English classes than these, and now I'm doing this with my life. What seems like a small investment of time on a Tuesday night is something vital to another person's life, something that can shift their life entirely and allow them to flourish where they haven't had that. So there's this sense of shalom that you can bring to people's lives with a small investment. So don't look down on the small things.
Yeah.
God puts them all together like a giant Lego creation.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And build something beautiful out of it.
That's cool. All right, one more question. I'm going to put you I'm putting you totally on the spot right now.
Oh, cool. Love it.
Since you've been the director and since you've walked these people from all over the world, walking your doors, how has that shaped you to be a better leader?
I think it makes you more humble. As you sit and listen to people's stories, you see how very little you know, how very little you've experienced.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I think this role, it keeps you on your knees. Like it keeps you dependent on the Lord and constantly aware of his work. None of this is something I can do. This is all God doing what God wants to do. And it's an amazing thing to be a part of.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. I appreciate it. Well, thanks for your time today. And also to hear just how you're reaching Indianapolis through English and how you're having the nations come together. So we appreciate your time, and we'll put all the links in the description below.
Awesome. Thanks, Bryce.
To hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And hey, if you're passionate about making a difference and want to share your experiences with our community, check out the link in the description below to become a guest on the show. If you want to keep the conversation going, join our online Facebook community, link below. Together, let's equip ourselves with the knowledge and inspiration to make our communities a better place to live, one innovative outreach at a time. Welcome to the intersection of church, community, and innovation.